Hey guys, welcome back to Two Girls, One Cut plus Tracy.
Hey, what's up?
Hello, Abs.
Hi.
Um, so I just want to remind you guys you can find us at nighthawk-radio.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify at Nighthawk Radio. We also have a fan page on Facebook at Nighthawk Radio Fan Group. And then let's see, we also have a phone number that y'all can call for any complaints or comments or praises. That number is 606 657 0961. And then our show airs every Thursday at 7 on nighthawk-radio.com, or you can also download the Live 365 app to listen to us live that way. And then, is that everything? Am I missing anything?
We
Y'all
have
can
the
also
chat
tune
room.
in. Yes, we have the chat room. We have a chat feature now on the website. You can talk to us live while our show is playing or in between shows. I think there's something playing all the time now. We have
Yes.
enough shows
Yes.
on for something to be playing 24/7. And then the Mackenzie Hour will be playing right after us every Thursday at 8 o'clock. And then you can also check out Awakening Radio every Sunday at 7 with Joe and Tracy,
Yes, ma'am.
as well as the plethora of other podcasts that have joined in on Nighthawk Radio.
It's
Big
growing.
news.
Heck
Big
yeah.
news.
It's growing. It's growing.
Yes, yes. But this week we're going to talk about Israel Keys. He murdered at least 3 people, but he's believed to have murdered 11 people, at least. Could be more.
And I feel like anybody that they convict of 3, but there's a possibility of 11, and they've come to that possibility because they found
Yes.
blood, his own blood, used to draw skull pictures under his prison bed. I feel like that's pretty badass. I just want to say that.
That
So
is
Right,
pretty
you go from
badass.
Yeah.
3 to possibly 11, but those 8 that they have not yet identified, but they're pretty sure that they are out there somewhere, is just because they found his own drawings of his own blood under his prison bed. So,
Yes.
go
And
ahead.
they had
Carry on.
also, when they were investigating, they'd also talked to him and said, did you kill anybody in this state or this state? And he's like, yeah, I think maybe like 3 in that state. Yeah, there were 3. There could have been 4.
So he was
Or they
playing
would
that.
bring up a specific name, and he'd be like, we're not going to talk about her right now.
So he
You'll
was
find out
playing that
eventually.
typical serial
yeah.
killer game
yeah.
Cat
as
and mouse.
far as,
Yeah.
keeping a few in his pocket
Oh, yeah.
until it was time to play those cards.
But that time never came.
Well, it happens.
Wah, wah, wah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Foreshadowing. And then law enforcement also believes that he committed at least 20 other crimes, including arson, burglaries, bank robberies. He was just a jack of all trades.
This dude ran the gamut.
Yeah, he did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did.
So.
And he was good.
Yeah. Yeah. He was good at what he did.
Yeah, I didn't know his name.
Brett and I have talked about this guy just briefly. Off and
Briefly.
on a little bit. And, you guys always kind of keep that from me because I
You
don't
want it
want.
to be a surprise.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I want to be able to ask questions. Just like, I'm hearing this guy for the first time. But I do remember, where we talked that he had murder kits all over the United States.
Yes.
And so with that, though, how many of those murder kits that he had that were already used,
Right.
you said 3, possibly 11, which can turn into 15 to 20 to 25.
Yeah.
you just never know. And now nobody will know.
And he was very, very smart about the way that he did things. Yeah.
And he was a bank robber. And yeah, because, I mean, this cat was, I mean, if he's going to screw stuff up, might as well screw it all up.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
So he was born in Richmond, Utah on January 7th, 1978. He was the second of 10 children. His parents moved to, I think, Torrance, California. I don't think he was very old, maybe a year or two old. So him and his older sister, they moved to California from Utah. They were members of the LDS community. And
red flag number one.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with Mormons. There's nothing wrong with Mormons. One of my best childhood friends is Mormon, and she's one of the best people I know. But there's levels, I feel. And they were definitely oddballs. Mom homeschooled until I maybe she had too many children and couldn't homeschool anymore. I'm not really sure, but I know she homeschooled for quite some time. They ended up leaving the LDS church and they moved to I think some remote land in Washington. And that was when Israel was about 5 years old. And then they joined this church called the Ark, and they were kind of described as white supremacist. They were.
And I thought when I read that, I went back over it and I read it again and I kind of rolled it around, because religion and white supremacy, to me, unless you're in prison,
those are completely contradicting each other.
Together.
No,
yes, ma'am.
No.
So I really had to stop, read it,
and think, how does that work?
How does that correlate?
Yeah.
But it was very pronounced. It was very known in their religion, in their group, that if you weren't a Caucasian, typical blonde-haired, blue-eyed human, you weren't anything. You weren't worth anything.
If you think about even back in the early, 20s, 30s with the KKK, if you put it in that context, most of them were white, Anglo-Saxon, Christian from the South. But then that's how they believed in their Christian beliefs, is that there was one race, or the superior race. Yeah. So, and I mean, that's kind of how I guess that would come from.
We're now in the mid to late 80s. Come on.
But even today, we still have.
You're right. There's small communities here and there that are probably that same way.
I know of one in Tennessee right now that is still preaching, the same old ways of, the KKK from the 20s, and they consider themselves, Christians.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think that's ever really going to go away, but I mean, that's still a thing going on.
Completely appalling.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So around that time, they had some neighbors who they become friends with. And his name was it could have been a her, Chevy Kehoe. But they were convicted of triple murder in 1996. So just fun fact. So that kind of gives you an idea of, I guess, the kind of people that...
The pedigree.
Yeah. But eventually they left the Ark. And then they went to this other church called the Christian Israel Covenant Church, which also taught white supremacists. And then and I think that Israel kind of said that they were a little bit like militia-like. So kind of
Makes sense
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me.
And then, as the kids got a little bit older, and more kids came about, um, Israel and his siblings, a lot of them had to sleep outside in tents outside of their small little cabin, because there was no room inside the cabin. So the
No
parents would, yeah,
electricity,
no
no
electricity, no running
water,
water.
one
They
room.
kind of lived as Amish, completely
hmm
off the grid.
But
Um,
that taught him um, how to become, he became out of that a master carpenter. And
mhm.
at 16, he was able to build his family a bigger living space
Yeah,
and then
actually
was
built them
able
a whole
to,
cabin.
yep, was able to kind of use those skills that he gained, I feel like, to pretty much provide for himself throughout his adult life.
Yeah,
So that
Very
was something pretty cool that came out of it for
right.
him.
Very
yeah,
self-sufficient.
yeah,
Had to be.
Yeah.
They had to hunt for their own food. They
yeah.
had to literally gather.
Chop their own firewood.
He said if it had a heartbeat, I was killing it
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and eating it.
Yeah. I guess
So,
as time goes on, he
yep,
actually
he
meant that
bumped
by
up to
what it
human.
meant.
Yep, yep.
so yeah, him and his siblings, they would chop firewood, hunt for food. They'd also work for farms, local farms around to help bring in some money to support their family. Um, and around this time, he kind of, he's 16. He builds a cabin for his family, but then he kind of gets into, well, he's a teenage boy, and he probably not your typical teenage boy. I wouldn't imagine.
Mm-mm.
I would
I'd
sure
say a
hope
little
not.
different.
I
Yeah.
would sure hope not. But he admits to shooting at neighbors' houses with BB guns, and starting fires in the woods, and then it kind of
Mm-hmm.
escalated from there to breaking into houses around and,
Cruelty.
stealing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
stealing, burglarizing those homes. He stole some guns from a neighbor, and his parents said, "You need to take those guns back and apologize." That was
Mm-hmm.
his punishment, to return them and apologize. So then, he also, some of the guns that he would steal, he would end up selling them to other local adults around. Um, and then he was also just very, very abusive to animals. Of course, he said, if it had a heartbeat, he was going to kill it and he was going to eat it. But then there were also pets. Like, there was a cat that he tied up, to a tree, and he shot it with a 22 revolver. And as it's, taking its last breath, and there were other kids around too witnessing this. I think those kids kind of realized this
This is not
is
cool.
he's
He was
he's not
crazy.
he's not normal. He's not
Mm-hmm.
typical. There's
Yeah.
there's something wrong with him. And I think that's around the time that he kind of realized that too. He's like, you know what? I'm not like these other people. Like,
Yeah,
I'm different.
he said at 14, I realized that the way that I thought about things and the way that everybody else thought about things were different. And that was pretty much when I became a loner, when I exclusively did things by myself because nobody else really was on the same page as me. They didn't like the same things as I liked. They didn't do the same things that I did. So he pretty much just, was weird in his own right and stayed kind of to himself.
Yeah. And it seems like after each incident like this would happen, and these his peers would realize, like, you're weird, and they would run from
Mm-hmm.
him. He just kind of became more and more antisocial.
Mm-hmm.
And, how many times have we seen with serial killers? It starts with animals.
Oh,
Yeah.
almost every time.
And
Yeah.
So
it's,
sad.
I don't
So
know if
sad.
it's It's
To
almost like
me,
a.
I feel like I would have a harder time killing an animal
Well,
than
I'm
another
thinking
human.
it's not the fact that how hard or easy it is. I'm thinking it's
It's
opportunistic.
control. Hmm.
Yeah.
How
It's
many times have you come across a cat, and it's so much easier to start with that, even though you may subconsciously be thinking, or be, it's not a human, but it kind of escalates to people. But we all seen cats or we've seen dogs running around, and it's just an opportunistic thing. Hey, let's see what happens when we do this to that particular animal, and then it just escalates to people.
Yeah.
just the idea that it, empathy is something that I feel like you should be or could be, or maybe you are born with. Some
Yeah,
people have none. And I
that
believe that he was one of those people that could not empathize and put himself in the position of another person or animal or what have you. And that's why he was just so cold to it. It was just like he could not, he couldn't understand. And I think
right,
a
Yeah.
lot of them
right.
have that trait.
Yeah, I agree. Um, so around this time, he kept a journal that he would write, like biblical quotes. He would also write down like his daily sins. Um, I don't know, if at the end of the night before he went to bed, he'd repent for all those sins that he had committed during the day, or what, but
Hmm.
um, he
What if
would.
he carried that out through his adult life as well?
I I feel like maybe because I know. I want to say I also read like when he was in prison after he was caught, he also kept a journal in there and he wrote a
Mhm.
lot. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he wrote a lot, and
That's
I
a
don't.
little different,
Yeah, yeah,
I
Well,
feel
I
like.
don't know. Is that? I mean, there's been a couple of serial killers that they have caught, who kept meticulous
Yeah.
journals. You
yeah,
Well,
know,
and
well,
that's
like
kind of
John
more
Wayne
to.
Gacy, he was one that did, but he would like record literally his daily everything, every phone call, every meal, every out of the ordinary thing. But
you know who
he
else did that?
specifically said Dennis Rader.
And
Who?
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy. But this guy, he said that his was he kept a list of his sins. So that to me makes me think
Yeah,
that he
that's true.
did at
He's thinking
least
these are
have
things that are bad. These are things that
things
I
so
should
he
be
could
sorry
separate
for.
them.
Yeah,
But still continue to do the
right,
things he did.
right.
So I think he was maybe on an insight, maybe a more insightful level, but still literally had zero heart, no care
It's
for
almost like he
people.
knew he was doing wrong, but one couldn't stop it, but knew when he
Mhm.
was doing it, it was wrong.
Right.
It was almost like a
Absolutely.
craving.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh. Okay.
Um, So then, shortly after, I think he was probably like 16, 7, probably about 17. I don't think he was 18 yet. I guess maybe his family didn't think that the cabin that he built was good enough, so they decided to relocate again. So this time they moved to Maine, so on the opposite end of the country. They moved to Smyrna, Maine, and they worked, I think, for like a maple syrup production, collecting
Hmm.
sap from trees.
Hmm.
And they kind of lived like the Amish still. They lived in an Amish community. Um,
Basic.
yeah,
Hmm.
and the mom kind of told all of the kids, you guys are not to watch television. You guys are not to learn how to play any instruments. No technology, no nothing. Like they were prohibited from any of that.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that kind of almost made the children even more sneaky.
Rebel.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And so then it kind of got to the point where he kind of said, I don't think that I'm all about this Christian faith. So he renounces his Christian faith and he declares that he is an atheist. And at this point, the parents, they kind of evicted him for blasphemy. They said, we don't want
We're not
nothing
going
to
to
do
rage
with
against this
you.
machine.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a excommunication type thing.
Oh, he
Yeah.
excommunicated, all right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He
And
raged
then
against the machine,
the
100%.
siblings as well were not allowed to talk to him, not to make any contact him for the rest of their lives, is what the parents told them. Which I think was probably a little bit hard on him, just because he did help so much, raising all of his younger siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I think he took a lot of responsibility for all the other kids. I mean, you have to think, out of 10 kids, you're the second oldest. I feel like it typically does or can fall on
Falls
the
on you.
oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So after that, he decides that he's interested in Satanism, and he wants to commit a ritualistic murder. So this is summer of 1997. He is now in Oregon, and he says, or he's sitting by a river, and he sees this young, cute girl tubing with some friends, and he kind of like stalks her, watching her as she's in the river with the friends. And I think she ends up getting out of the river, maybe to use the bathroom or something, and he ends up um, threatening her with a knife. And he said that he very violently sexually assaulted her. Um, and he ended up letting her go. He said that he just wasn't violent enough yet. He was just too timid. He couldn't do it yet. So he ended up letting her go. Um, did he end up serving any time for that, Abby? Do you know?
No,
I didn't
ma'am.
think so. I didn't
No,
think
because shortly thereafter,
he went into the
I believe he
military.
wanted to serve his country. So he
Yeah,
joined the military like a lot of the other ones.
yeah.
He got a lot of accolades whenever he joined the service. He was on like this special mortar team. He got different marksman's achievement awards. I want to say he did 3 or 4 years in the service. He traveled to Egypt. He traveled all over the country and then internationally traveled. I do think that I read that while he was um, in Egypt, he they found out later that he tried to commit several sexually charged crimes. Um, I don't know that he was able to, you know, complete what he set out to complete. If things kind of got, messed up in the midst of things, I wasn't able to get all of that information, but he did give a little bit of information in regards to his service and whenever he was trying to commit those crimes, whenever he was overseas. And then whenever his time was up, that was whenever, you know, he
He
was
was
ready to
honorably
go. He was on a
discharged.
mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think also during that time he drank very heavily.
Hmm.
Um, and I think he got like a DUI,
He did.
um,
That was the only charge
actual
that he
charge.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever he was sitting with the Rangers or whatever that was doing his initial interview. That was the
Yeah.
only thing he had on his record.
So after he was honorably discharged, he decides that he's going to move back to Washington. So at this point, he's lived all over. So that kind of gives you a little bit of idea, just kind of geographically. He knew a lot about the United States and
Oh,
different areas. you know,
Drove
and
it
then
from coast to
also,
coast.
yeah, and then also living in super remote areas as well, I think kind of
Hmm.
helped him know, you know, where should I plant my next murder hit?
Survivalist. Yeah, he was a
Yes.
survivalist. I
Hmm.
think the military taught him
Oh, yeah.
how to make his, now we know his killer caches is what he called them.
Yep.
And it was basically like Home Depot 5-gallon buckets and with a variety of different weapons, firearms, tools, just a plethora of
Right. Tape,
items,
rope,
everything,
all the things.
all the things you may need,
Yeah.
and
So
would
whenever
just hide
he,
them.
yeah. And I think that, you know, that just
His
everything that
love of
he had been
travel,
through, yeah,
hmm
it definitely
just
helped.
made him what he was.
Yep. So when he moved to Washington, um, he lived on some kind of like reservation community, and
Hmm.
he met a Native American woman
Yep.
who ended up pregnant and had their daughter. And I don't think that things really worked out between them. So he met another woman um, online and decides him and his daughter are going to move to Alaska.
Yep.
So, and this is the first that I'd ever heard of him being in Alaska. So I don't know if he had ever really lived in Alaska before that or
Nope.
even visited. So he decides, yeah, it's a match made in heaven. We're just gonna move and we're gonna
Start a
move in with
business, and we're going to do it.
yeah, this nurse girlfriend. And so that's what they did. They moved to Alaska. He started his own business called Keys Construction,
Hmm.
and he worked as a handyman, contractor, construction worker, um,
Carpenter.
and
Hmm.
carpenter. Yep. And then during this time, he also owned about, I think it was like 10 acres of land in New York as well. Um, do you know about how old his daughter was, Abby?
When he got caught,
I guess
or when they moved
when he
to
moved to
Alaska.
Alaska, because I just have a hard time wrapping my brain around the fact that the mom would allow him to just take the daughter
I want to
and go.
say, well,
But also, I know that like different conservations and stuff have different laws, and you know, maybe that has something to do with it.
I want to say whenever he moved her to Alaska, she was young. She was like 4 or 5,
Yeah. Could you imagine being 4 or 5 years old, being taken away from your mother?
right? And moving to a a place that was
Six
obsolete at
months of
best.
daylight, 6 months of
Right.
darkness.
Right.
Yeah.
Not, yeah, you know
It'd be
no
like
one, you have no family, you have nothing.
That would
be
be
And
a
like
lot.
moving to the moon,
then you find
really. I
out that
mean,
your
you think
dad's a
about it.
serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That would be a lot. And I think that is where his shame comes from, is his
Oh,
daughter.
100%. 100%.
Because
That's what he talks about.
yes, if nothing else in this world, he did truly love his daughter.
Yeah. He
I
did not want
believe.
to disappoint her. He
Yeah.
did not want her in the media. He did not want her name associated with anything to do with his crimes.
And he didn't want to be in the media because he didn't want to take any chances of his daughter
Hmm. Being drugged through it.
finding
Hmm.
out that information or, you know,
Yeah.
knowing what he did.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
at that point, it's kind of like, well,
Probably
maybe,
shouldn't do
maybe you
that.
shouldn't have done it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, like I said, he moves to Alaska. He has his little construction business, and during this time, and I kind of wonder, like, who was the daughter with while he was doing all of his traveling across the United
Well,
States?
I
Did she
believe
stay
she
with the
was
girlfriend?
with this stepmom.
Yeah,
I think that they traveled a lot themselves. I think that
I
they
think they
had,
traveled a lot as a family as well. Yeah,
yes, they
yeah.
went on cruises, they went on
Hmm.
family vacations back to the lower 48. And I think that there was just a lot of travel solo for him because that was just his type of person. He was just by nature, he said he enjoyed traveling, he enjoyed driving, even if he
Yeah.
didn't have anywhere to go. Um, and I think that she, pretty much took care of the girl while he was working his long hours and building his business, and then subsequently doing his business
His
as
other
a
business.
murderer. Right.
His
Yeah.
killing. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
killing. Yeah.
So during all this time, they're traveling. He would frequently go after people in like remote areas, campgrounds, someone that may have gotten separated from the group,
Easy
things like
prey.
that. Those would be his victims most of the time.
Yeah.
But it was far away from where he lived. Also, who's going to think that this random Joe from Alaska is going to come down here and kill somebody and then go back home and act like it never happened.
Right. Literally drive hundreds of miles.
Right.
Have this thing in your mind. Okay, I want to, it's like a scavenger hunt, kind of like
Right.
I think I want to take out a couple,
Yeah.
but I have to be able to have access to their home on this level. And there has to be these different elements, and it has to be someplace to where I know that I have a murder kit close.
Close by.
So like
Yeah.
once he was able to like plug in all of those things, then bingo,
Yeah.
you're the winner, chicken dinner. That's where it's happening. And that's
I
kind of how it
also
was.
I also was listening to an interview where somebody asks him, "Did you have a preferred victim?" And he's like,
Mm-mm.
"No, no, it was just random."
Yeah,
He said, "If I could choose, though, they'd be light.
right.
They would be a smaller frame person, so they
Yeah.
wouldn't be quite as
He,
heavy."
yeah. Well, and he was a large man. He was like
It's
6'3",
6'2".
and he was big, and he was very strong. He could overtake
Mhm.
probably most any size man, let
Yes,
alone woman.
right.
But he
But then
did
carrying dead
definitely,
weight, literally dead
Yeah.
weight.
the key
Now,
word being dead.
Yeah, yeah.
was
Yeah.
was most of his victims female, or were all of them female?
No,
No.
I think it was just a variety. I mean, like
Okay.
I
Yeah.
said, there were only 3 that were actually 100% confirmed,
Okay.
Hmm.
but with
2 females and a
speculation, there
male.
were lots of others. Um,
Oh yeah.
but
So
yeah, I don't think
with
that he really had a preference whether they were, um, white, black, orange, purple, male, female,
No, but he
both.
did sexually assault the females.
Yes, he
So,
did sexually assault the females.
so with these murder kits all over the country,
mhm.
that he had stashed, I mean, there could have been potentially, if he wouldn't have been caught. I mean, with
Unlimited.
these with these kits all over the country. I mean, there
Yeah.
could have been hundreds, or maybe up into the 40s, 50s.
Mhm.
Of these victims that could have potentially been murdered by this guy.
And
Yeah.
you could reuse a murder kit, I feel like. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. You
you
just
know,
restock it.
you just
you know.
restock it. Yeah,
Yeah.
top it off. Put her back in another hole and move along.
Right.
And then I think there were always guns in these murder kits. Um,
Hmm.
but he didn't prefer to shoot. He didn't prefer to use guns because, that could draw more attention or, somebody might
Hmm.
hear it. So he would always 9 times out of 10, he would strangle his victims. Um,
Hmm.
but like I said, if he had to, he would use the gun, but he most of the time he wouldn't. So really, it's like, what all is he really
Right.
taking out of
Right.
the kit that would
Right.
be hard to replenish?
The duct tape.
The
Always the duct tape.
the duct tape. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
You'll have to
guess.
take a
Yeah.
trip down to the Home Depot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
It's
So yeah, he didn't really confess to any other murders. It was kind of just like the runaround. he would say, "Yeah, I killed one female in this one house, and then I burnt that house down, and then I also killed somebody over here, and I dumped them over this cliff rock." Um, but then like it would
But
kind
we'll
of
talk about that
correlate.
later.
It would yeah, well, we'll talk about that later. I don't want to talk about her right now. Or like a specific name would be brought up, and he'd be like, "We're not going to talk about her
Mhm.
right
Right.
now." But a lot of these murders, they were kind of able to like put two and two together. So if he said like, "Yeah, this happened in upstate New York," and
They
I
could dig
threw
around
her body
and
over this cliff.
yeah.
Well, there was a person that was found. Their body was thrown over this cliff, but they said that it was because of it was an accident. You know, this person fell,
Mhm.
but truly that wasn't actually what happened. But they didn't have 100% evidence to say yes, he
Right.
killed this person or he
Right.
killed that person, because he wasn't giving any information.
Right.
Um, but during this time, as he's, going around the country killing all these people, he also committed lots of different robberies. He robbed multiple banks. He burglarized 20 to 30 homes.
Home
Uh,
invasions. Yep.
and he would use this cash to continue his traveling. That way he didn't have to
Hmm.
use any cards, no, debit cards, nothing was linked to him. It was all cash. Um, and they speculate that he started killing probably in 2001. Um, but like I said, they're thinking that there's 11. They have enough evidence to say he was more than likely responsible for these 11 murders, as
Hmm.
well as his pictures that he drew in his blood.
True.
Um,
Right.
he actually drew 12 pictures, 11 were skulls, and one
One was a pentagram
was a
or
pentagram,
like and it had like maybe like a goat's
a
head or
goat's head,
something in
yes,
the
with like
middle.
horns, and then there was like a
Yeah.
pentagram on the forehead of it.
So I'm
Yeah.
guessing that he was pretty much Satanist all the way up to the very end.
All the skulls that he drew were very basic. I mean, I probably could draw them.
Mhm.
And then it looked like he had like an
Like
upside
upside
down
down
cross on
cross
their
on their
forehead,
foreheads. Yeah.
but they were all, you couldn't tell male or female. It was
Right.
literally like a stick man did it with his thumb in a quick, fast
Yeah.
hurry.
Yeah.
But I think that that's how they came up with that magic number of 11.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
Um, but also, you've got blood running down your arms and you're trying to use this blood for paint.
For art,
Yeah.
right?
So I
It's a
guess
little
I get
weird.
it. I guess I
Gotta
get it.
be hurried.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy, really.
Well, when they were setting them out, they had their gloves on, obviously, for the biohazard part of it.
Mhm.
And that, there was blood splatter all over them. And so who knows what he injured of his own to get said paint slash
Right.
blood.
Well, I mean,
Right.
But
that,
it
that
was,
kind of, if you think about it, that kind of puts you in somewhat of a mindset that he has, that he is willing to either, cut himself or something to the point to get
mm-hmm,
this blood to just
mm-hmm.
to draw the pictures that, to me, that's almost a little over the top there.
Yeah.
Well, he took it over the top not too long into his sentence.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
So the first murder that was 100% confirmed was a husband and wife. Um, the husband was 49 and the wife was 55, and this happened in Vermont. Um, he breaks into their home in the middle of the night, and he ties them up, and he ends up driving them to an abandoned farmhouse. Um, and this is where he had to resort to shooting. He shoots the husband, the man, and I think he takes them he takes the husband from the vehicle inside of the house. And then in this time that he's, dealing with the husband, killing the husband, I guess the wife actually gets out of the vehicle. I'm assuming she was in the trunk, and somehow she gets out, and she takes off running. And bless her little heart, she didn't get far enough away because he got her. And he, took her back into the house, and he sexually assaulted her before eventually strangling her. Um, and then what was it? Did he set the house on fire? I think he
Set the
burnt
house
the
on
house
fire.
down.
And
Yeah,
they
but it
never
was,
found their bodies.
yep, they never found their bodies. But they also didn't know that they were looking for bodies because it was
Right.
an old abandoned
After the
house.
house, yep,
Yeah.
after the house burnt, the city, tore it down the rest of the way. They
Mhm.
went to the landfill where they were fairly certain that all of the debris from that was
Yeah,
taken once he confessed it, and they were still never able to let the family of those people bury their
yeah.
deceased
So
folks.
what state was that in?
That was in
Vermont.
Vermont.
Vermont. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so that was the only one that he actually said, I killed these two people and they were in this house.
Hmm.
That's the only information that he would really give them up until,
He did say this about them, and I thought this was kind of eerie. So he had been traveling for whatever his reasons were, and he was staying at this hotel, and he would go walk, like he would, leave his hotel and just walk around the neighborhoods, these residential neighborhoods. And he knew where he had a kit hidden. That's when he said, I knew I wanted to kill a couple. So it had to be, two individuals, husband and wife. They had to I wanted them to have like a garage or a certain entryway that I knew that I could get in and get out. They
but I
had to
wanted
have a
to make sure that it
vehicle.
was attached. It was an attached
Yes, attached
garage.
garage.
It
Yes,
could
like
not
he
be a
had certain
detached garage.
criteria,
Yes.
right? Because he knew he was going to
Hmm.
put them in the vehicle and leave with them. And so, like, literally all of those things had to be check marked. And he was able to do that just while he was taking a stroll in their
Hmm.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's how he chose the couriers. And I
Yeah.
thought, damn, what a bad day to just be them.
To
Yeah,
just
no
be,
doubt. Yeah.
To
yeah.
have that particular house on that particular street and you be this particular person and
On
he's
that particular
crashing
day.
in on that
Yeah.
Yeah.
day,
Wrong place, wrong
close
time.
close to where that hotel was.
Yeah.
And that's how random he was. And that if it doesn't tell you by that, then, I can't help you. But I mean, it was with no rhyme, no reason, not
Yeah.
a pattern of people, not a type, not all women, all prostitutes, all this, like just,
He would just decide in his head, these are the kind of people that I'm going to kill this time. This
yeah,
is who I'm going
almost
to kill
like a
this time.
scavenger hunt. That's
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
picture it. It's like he
Yeah.
So
just,
he was a lot less opportunistic, like most serial killers are, dealing with prostitutes and things like that. He actually was more of a, I guess, kind of a
intellectual.
BTK kind of guy. He would
He,
actually stalk his people.
I don't know that he
I
stopped.
don't
Like,
know that
I
he really
really
did
think
either.
I
I
think it
think it
was
was
quick,
just,
fast, and in a hurry. And I think he liked that. I think it was
hmm,
random and he liked that. And yes, I believe it was opportunistic in the way that he thought about, with the attached versus detached garage. But I think that that was a lot of his military training and a lot of
hmm.
his survivalistic, the way he grew up. These certain things have to be lined up, and the
It
more
was
things I can
more,
check off, the
yes,
easier. So we're doing it.
it was more based off of the situation and the circumstances
Then the people.
versus who the people actually
I
were.
guess it was more of like
Right.
a check off list. If you met this check,
Correct.
check, 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 this is,
Yeah.
you're next.
You're it.
You're
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But if
You're,
he would have turned left instead of right at the stop sign, it could have been a whole other
Yeah, exactly. Something that
person,
simple. Yeah.
yep.
So it's craziness to think about. Yeah.
So that was in 2011.
Hmm.
And then 2012, he decides that he's back in Alaska. He decides he's going to go for someone close to home.
Hmm.
So he goes to this coffee booth in Anchorage, Alaska. I think they said it was like 5 miles away from his actual home, which was completely out of his ordinary.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. And that's really where the big mistake lied. And I don't think that he would have ever been caught had he not
Stayed with
decided.
his traveling, killing spree.
Because he would get on an airplane, say from Alaska, and he would land in Ohio, and then he would rent a vehicle, and he would drive that vehicle 1,000 miles to, upstate New York and back.
Right.
And because he didn't want anybody to track the fact that he flew into the, lower 48.
Right.
And, if nobody was being killed there in Ohio, it wasn't him. He was in Ohio.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. But also, one of his criteria were they cannot have any dogs, because he said that he didn't want to kill dogs. He liked dogs particularly.
Or kids. And he didn't want to kill any kids, and he didn't want to kill anybody with kids. So, say husband and wife had a young child, he would have said, nope, I've got to find a different couple. This couple has a child.
He put the value of dogs above humans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he liked dogs.
That's crazy to me.
He really liked dogs.
That is just, wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's the first for me, as far as serial killers go.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I have a couple dogs.
Me too.
Well,
maybe someone will skip my house.
I
also have a couple kids. So.
I guess at this point, it's good to have dogs around.
Yeah, right. And young children.
And kids.
Wow, that I've never heard of that before. As somebody put the value of a dog, which dogs are great, for families and things, but versus a human life,
right?
You would think, if you're willing to take a human life, you wouldn't think much of a dog.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but that's fascinating. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This tells you little bits and pieces about his personality.
Yeah. I guess he preferred the company of dogs than people.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I think his daughter kind of changed the way that he saw things a little bit too, because he like I said, he didn't want to go after anybody that had young children.
Right.
He wanted to make sure that these children still had their parents, as well as he didn't want to kill any children themselves.
Right.
Investigators have kind of, I think, suspect him of killing some younger children. So I don't know if they necessarily believe that, or if they just thought that was something that might get out there in the media and might make his daughter feel a little bit better about the situation. So I'm not sure which it is. He's not here any longer for us to ask him, but it does make you wonder. But anyway, so back to Samantha Koenig in Anchorage, Alaska. She's working this little coffee booth, and he stops
late
by.
At night.
Yeah.
He loves coffee.
Yeah, he likes coffee. He stops by, and do you remember what he ordered? I know I saw it somewhere. It was a coffee and like a banana nut muffin or something.
Oh, well, there you go.
And then he climbs. There's footage that shows him climbing through the window, because I think it was more of kind of like a food truck is what I'm imagining.
Yeah, it was like a little booth, and it had like a walk-up window, and like you saw her put her hands up, and he said that he was pointing a 22 at her, and then he made her step back and turn the light off.
Yeah.
So because all that was being recorded, so then he boosts up into the window and gets her and basically walks her out of her establishment.
Didn't he end up tying her up inside of the booth first?
I don't know.
Yeah.
but he did take her. She got away for a little minute, and then
Yeah.
he wrangled her back,
Yeah.
and then he, you know, took off
Yeah.
with her. And
Yeah. He proceeds to take her back to his home,
hmm
which is completely out of character for him. He takes her to his
hmm
home, to his little shed, I guess out back, and he assaults her. And then I think the following day he ends up killing her.
then
But
he
he,
leaves and goes on a 2-week cruise with her
yes,
in the shed,
while she is in his shed
Oh,
frozen,
wow.
chilling.
he
Then he
goes on a
comes back.
cruise with his
Yep,
girlfriend and daughter.
yep.
And then he comes back and he's thinking, man, I should probably take care of this now. So, but he decides, you know what? I want some ransom. I need some money out of this.
hmm
So he ends up um, taking
Flicking
her
her eyes
phone.
open.
Yes, he sewed her eyelids open, put some makeup
hmm
on her. He used a hair dryer to thaw her body out a little bit.
hmm
And then took a picture of her with her phone and sent that to, I think it was her
Her
father.
boyfriend and her
Was it?
dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
And said, I need $30,000 in this account because he wanted them to see that she was alive.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
hmm
and so he takes a picture with her holding
And the newspaper.
a newspaper.
Uh-huh.
And
For the
so
date.
yeah, so from there he gets the $30,000 in her bank account and uses her debit card as he travels through the United States. And they eventually
And
picked him up on um, video footage from an ATM
saw
and
his rental car.
saw the rental car, put an APB out, and he ended up getting caught in Texas.
Yep.
They
Like
caught him
5 days
yeah,
after he, yeah.
after
And
he had gotten that money. Yeah.
yep. And then it was on to investigations. He had special requests, a certain type of coffee, a Snickers bar, a
Yeah.
cigar. Whenever they wanted to
Would
talk to
be
him, he had
interviewed.
certain specific things that he would not talk until he had. And then they had to deal with his narcissistic self, and his odd requests to try to get some of this information out. And then the story pretty much ended.
Well, he ends up, he got really upset because there was, I think, some kind of like press release or something, and his
hmm
information was put out
Got
there.
out.
And that's what he didn't want. He didn't want his daughter to find out
Right.
what
Yeah.
a terrible person he was. So he quit
Right.
cooperating after that. He said, I'm not talking anymore. He refused to talk. And
He
then,
wanted an execution date, and he
yeah,
wanted right then, and then he would be willing to give them more information, and they could
yeah.
not give him that.
Right. I mean, because
And
people sit on death row for years, you know.
right.
So
So,
he ended up taking a razor blade and he died by suicide. He cut his I think I saw that it was his AC.
hmm
He cut his ACs to cut the arteries. Was it his wrists too, I believe? And he gets
No.
underneath of the blanket so that nobody can see that he's literally bleeding out.
hmm
And he went to sleep and never woke up. They found him the next morning, bled to death in
Yep.
his sleep.
wow.
Yep.
Um, and
Before
then
trial.
those drawings they found, I think, under his bed the next day too. I kind of wonder
hmm
if he didn't use that blood from him bleeding out
So
Maybe.
to draw those.
these murder kits that he had all over the country. How
They
many?
say that, well, they say that if you come across one, don't touch it. Call your
Mhm.
local law enforcement. They will get in touch with the FBI because it's more than likely his, and they have no idea
So they still
Yeah,
how
haven't.
many.
They have no idea. I mean, it could be in the thousands.
it
Correct.
could very possibly
Wow.
be. Yeah.
So well with
It's
that,
been a real
ladies. I
case.
mean,
Very, very meticulous man.
another
Yeah.
great show. So it's
Thank
an hour
you.
has went by already. So
With that, we've got murder kits and roadmaps.
murder
That's
kits
right.
and roadmaps. So with that, guys, be sure to follow us Nighthawk Radio. Look us up on Facebook page under Nighthawk Radio. You also YouTube, Spotify under the same thing, Nighthawk Radio. Remember, go to the website. You can chat with these ladies when the show's going on. Be sure to check out this show on Thursdays at 7, Two Girls, One Cut. Also the Mackenzie Hour, 8 o'clock on Thursdays. Joe and I, Awakening Radio, Sundays at 7. Seth's Daily Podcast, 7 on Mondays. And with that, ladies,
5 on Sundays.
daggone it. I need to write this down. The Line Before podcast is 7 on Mondays, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I can't, me and you do too many shows, Seth. I can't keep it straight. So, yeah, man, with that, I mean, this is one that you're right. I knew very little about other than the murder kits, across the country. So, it's crazy that there still could be these kits that somebody could come across in any time in any state.
Crazy.
So,
Scary. I kind of want to find one.
Me too. Same.
it's kind of like, as Abby said, a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
well, ladies, thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much. Till next week. You guys will keep me in the dark until we find out who next week's going to be about.
Always in the dark.
Thank you, ladies. Seth, take us home, buddy.
Bye.
Everybody have a
ya.
good night and God bless.